Welcome to Sex and the Solo Girl. Join your host, her inner circle, and expert guests weekly for chats about dating, secure attachment, the solo lifestyle, doing relationships differently, and of course, sex. And here's your host, Janice Formichella.
Welcome to Sex and the Solo Girl, everyone. One of my favorite things about being solo is that I get to travel wherever I want a lot of the time. And when I travel, I generally go alone. I don't feel pressure to plan it with a friend or a partner. And whilst I'm traveling, I get to do whatever I want. Solo travel has been a part of my life for many years. Like I said, it's a perk of this type of lifestyle. And so now that I've started the new show, I really wanted to make that an emphasis as I am speaking to a lot of singles, a lot of people in the solo community, a lot of people who are curious about living life the way that I do and some of the other solos do. So here we are. Today, I'm joined by another solo traveler who I've actually been doing content with for a few years now. You better come to Denver at some point. And I haven't been to Seattle in quite a long time, so who knows? We're going to meet up maybe in 2025 because, yes, we have so much in common, and this must be the third episode we've done together. Welcome to Sex and the Solo Girl, Kelly Saavedra.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
I knew that this was going to be a topic I would do early on, and you're the only person who I'd want to do it with. You know, why reinvent the wheel when I already know someone who's passionate about solo travel and a bit of an expert on it as well. Let's, as I always say, and many other podcasters say, get into it. I wanted to quickly say why this is important for me. The solo lifestyle, which I know not everyone identifies with that, but I do. And I think the solo lifestyle is really built around the belief that one can live a remarkable life on one's own. And we don't need to wait for anybody to make things happen. We don't want to wait for anyone to make things happen. And so here we are. Kelly, you love solo travel. You've been on lots of really cool trips. I love how creative you get with things. Can you just, I suppose, let everyone know how you came to solo travel? A lot of people will not have experience with this, and neither of us always did either. So what can you tell us about your background in it?
I started solo traveling a few years ago. I always loved travel. Ever since I was a little girl, I would think about all the cool places I could go. And I got to live in Europe for a few years. I was married, and I moved back to the United States a few years ago after living in Germany for 3 years. And
I also lived in Germany for a while.
Yes. It's a very cool place.
Cutest place. And oh my God, I really loved it.
Super underrated. Definitely go visit Germany someday. So I traveled all over Europe when I was married, but when I moved back, my marriage was falling apart, and I was just, feeling really alone, and I was going to go to go back to Europe with a friend, and she ended up canceling on me, and I just was in this space where I was like, I need to leave. I need to get away. And F it, I'm going to go by myself.
Yeah.
I just needed that escape. And I was like, I'm pretty sure I can do this. I think I can do this. Like, I went to back to Europe. I went on a 10-day trip. I went to Rome, England, and Ireland by myself.
Wow. Oh my God.
Yeah. And navigated all those, first time solo travel things, anxiety,
Like what?
little anxiety. I booked a tour and I missed a tour of the Vatican. I missed the tour because I just didn't plan well enough with the metro. So I had to figure out, like, you know, instead of freaking out, like, oh my God, I missed my tour, like, just like, okay, like, how can I rearrange my day? How can I, you know, book another one? I have time on this day at this time, and there's a tour, so we're going to redo it. And just getting lost, you know, like, or getting confused on the metro, like what stop to get off at, asking for directions. I mean, navigating language barriers. I did that, and I came back from that trip, and it just really solidified that I was strong and I had the courage to do more than I thought I could do. And I had the courage have that conversation with my ex-husband and be like, I'm done, you know? And there was...
Oh, I forgot this. So the marriage was falling apart during the time that you took the trip.
Yes.
Hell
yes.
yeah, girl. Oh my God, that is so powerful.
That's started my journey kind of. And I was just like, look at me. I felt like a badass, and I felt so strong and empowered, and I liked the way it made me feel. And I finally felt like I was kind of coming out of a shell, like, this is who I'm supposed to be. You know, my marriage was, you know, there was verbal abuse and emotional abuse, and I just felt like this new, like, flower was growing, you know, and blooming. And so, you know, I filed for divorce, and then I just continued solo traveling because I was like, I like the way this makes me feel. I want to keep growing. I want to learn more about being by myself. And also, you know, the more I did it, the more my friends were, like, impressed about it, and other people. And I was like, oh, I want to, like, kind of grow a community of people who solo travel, who give people advice, strength, you know, just prove to women out there that they can do this. It's not scary, you know? I mean, it can be a little scary initially, but, you know, just
if you
the
aren't
benefits
used to it.
Sure.
I have a lot of clients as a breakup coach who have, for instance, never even gone out to eat on their own. And so this might seem like a leap, but today we're going to talk about the benefits of it, little ways that you can ease into it if you haven't done it before, all the reasons it's so much fun. And female solo travel is a massive online trend right now. But you know what? I have even male clients who haven't done it before. So I'm glad that women are being out there about it. But I have lots of men in my audience, and I know for a fact that this is something that a lot of people are not comfortable with or used to. My story has a little bit of overlap in that my falling apart marriage and subsequent divorce also played into it. I got married really young. I had also dreamed as a child about traveling. I would cut out pictures from magazines, collected pictures of all the places I wanted to go, and got married super young. I'm from the LDS faith. And I married somebody with really, and this is not really a criticism, but we were just very different in that he didn't have a bone of adventure in his body. He was not really into travel at all. We really didn't go on very many holidays together. Once in a while, my new partner is walking in right now, or my current partner, I should say. Hey, how did it go? Good. I'm recording. This is my friend Kelly. We're talking about solo travel.
Hello.
Very cool.
Yes. So, yes, we would sometimes go like away for spring break, but it was not at all the lifestyle that I had seen for myself at all. I remember one weekend I was like super gung-ho to kind of spontaneously go to Disneyland, and I really thought we were going to do it. And then it came time to do it, and he just absolutely put his foot down. I was so disappointed. And we were talking about it outside, and he actually flat out said, like, I'm just not as adventurous as you. Anyways, so then we get to the divorce, and I was living in New York at the time and had a lot of international friends, people who were used to traveling a bunch. And I pretty much started right away before the divorce was even final. One of my friends and I went on a cruise. I was just absolutely thrilled to begin to have the freedom to even contemplate about taking solo trips. I, within a year or two, went to Israel with a couple girlfriends. And during that time, there was a huge storm in the States. They got flights home. I was stuck in Tel Aviv for a few days. I decided to go to Bethlehem, and that was the first time I'd done something on my own, which was a lot to go into Bethlehem solo. I subsequently also ended up moving overseas. I continued to do trips with friends. And then while I was living in Australia, I started to curate trips on my own rather than going places with friends, going on visa runs, this type of thing. And we're going to talk about our favorite solo trips, but my favorite, I think, still is at the end of living in Australia. I was there for 5 years. For people who don't know, I also had plans to go on a trip with friends to Hobart, Tasmania. Everyone bailed. I ended up going on my own, having such a great time, making reservations for myself, wandering around, going anywhere I wanted. And the rest is history. It's something I still do today, which we're going to talk about. And I will say, as far as what you said, Kelly, feeling like a badass, absolutely. Woo.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the benefits of solo travel. This might seem intimidating to some people, but I assure you, this could change your life. And there's so many reasons why it's even better than traveling, especially with friends. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've had some make or break experiences traveling with girlfriends.
For sure, for sure. I've been on a few trips, or just like weekend trips this year with friends, and it's been fun, but there were definitely moments where I sometimes thought, man, I kind of wish I was by myself so I could like plan my day based on what I want to do.
Yep. So first of all, freedom. You obviously get to do whatever you want, which is just, it's so relaxing. I go to Tombstone, Arizona about once a year. I'll probably speak more about that. It's still my thing. And one of the reasons I like going to Tombstone alone is, first of all, nobody else wants to go to Tombstone. And also, I just enjoy, really, whenever I travel, I love to wander around, especially in the main thoroughfares. Not a lot of people who I know like to window shop and go to a touristy area, go in and out of a bunch of shops that are in some ways a lot alike. But I will still go into every single one. And then something I really enjoy doing when I travel solo is I will get to a point during the day where I want to take a break because I'm on my feet a lot. And I will find a pub, a saloon, dive bar, go in there. Again, something not everyone wants to do, but something I wouldn't probably necessarily do with someone else is I will sometimes just sit there for like an hour or two and just scroll through the pictures I've already taken, plan what I want to do next, sit there and do nothing and just relax. It's something I always do when I travel. And again, you're not going to take a friend or a partner into a bar and just sit there for a couple hours on your phone.
Yeah, most people. I mean, I like to do that too, but sometimes that's the thing about solo travel is like, if you do go with friends, like if you're not solo traveling, everyone's, preferences are a little different. So when you get to go by yourself, you get to do whatever you want, whatever feels good to you. And that's sitting at a bar for an hour going through your photos or whatever, like that's, you don't have to worry about it. And like, there's so much.
Another thing is, if you get comfortable traveling on your own, you will become a more confident person.
Totally.
If you can go anywhere on your own, you become confident.
Absolutely. I like, after I started going on these solo trips, like I like concerts too. That's a big like passion of mine. I love live music. And so I used to like not want to go to concerts unless I had somebody to go with. But now I'm like, F it. If I want to see the band and I don't have anyone to go with, like, I guess I'm just going by myself. I've been to a couple concerts by myself. I went to a concert by myself earlier this summer. Somebody will end up talking to you, you know, and I ended up making a little friend at the concert. And if you don't want to talk to somebody, you don't have to talk to somebody either, you know. It's
And I assure everybody, a lot of people tell me when they're resistant to try doing things on their own that they think it will either feel weird or look weird to others. Not at all. I went to, you see people on their own everywhere, especially once you start to do it, you will notice more and more people. I went with a friend to a band called The Hold Steady about a month ago or so. And I was surprised how many people were there on their own. We were standing next to a man who was so into it. It was absolutely adorable. And we was just talking about how he kind of follows the band around the country. And he said, I don't even think most of my friends know who The Hold Steady is. And so I just go. And I was actually quite moved by it and his enthusiasm and his no holds bar approach.
exactly. Yeah, that's essentially what I did. It's like it was a band that I loved in high school, and I live in the Pacific Northwest now. I grew up in California, and most of my friends from high school don't. I mean, they live in California, like they don't live up here, and my friends that I do have up here don't know that band well. And
Do you want to
I was like,
share?
the band,
Yeah.
it was Taking Back Sunday.
I am very familiar with that band. They're ex-Mormon. That's why they're titled. That's why they're called Taking Back Sunday.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah, we're not really allowed. We observe the Sabbath, and we don't do shit other than going to church. So yeah, that's why.
Oh, wow.
Cute.
That's very cool. I learned something new today.
Every time I've gone to Tombstone, I always stay at the same ranch. There's always been another person on their own who I've palled around with. It's not a priority to me. And a lot of people say, oh, when you travel solo, you'll meet people. You do, but it's not like something I seek out. My point saying that is that there's other people doing it. I fucking promise you. One of my favorite things about traveling solo, and this is something that I see people really light up with and become curious about when I say it, is that you get to enjoy the moment in a much different way than you do when you're with people. I mean, you're purely enjoying the moment and not worrying about either just having a conversation with people, sharing the moment with others, a gorgeous, wonderful thing to do. But you will notice when you travel on your own that the moment becomes richer in a new way.
Definitely. I think that's that slower pace, like doing things on your own, taking in the moment is definitely something that's important, and it's different. You don't feel that same way when you're with other people.
Yeah. It's nice to share things, but it's just a different experience. Obviously, not waiting for someone to go with. It can be hard when you're constantly coordinating with people who have different schedules. One benefit of solo travel that I do think that this is different from going with people. This has been my experience is for whatever reason, it helps me recover from burnout when I'm by myself and I can just, especially as an extrovert, just sit back and not really think about other people and also the energy that you extend, which you don't think about that day to day as an extrovert, that you are actually extending energy. And it is just really good to kind of just chill out and refresh the relationship that you have with yourself.
Absolutely. I mentioned to you briefly before this that, it's been a really busy and stressful kind of year. And I told a friend the other day, and I was like, I just want to take like 3 weeks off and like just do stuff for myself and go somewhere and just turn off my like social media, turn off my phone, and just like recharge, because like I need that right now.
Let's manifest it. Something that I hadn't thought about bringing up, but I do think that we should mention. is if anybody has gone through a breakup or is going to go through a breakup, which not to be a Debbie Downer, but in your future, it's really great recovering from a breakup. You get to go do something that perhaps you wouldn't have done with a partner, and you get to process what has happened. You get to self-reflect. It can actually be quite healing and therapeutic to be on your own after a breakup and not feel compelled to speak about it with everybody, to come up with your own closure. And I, a year and a half ago or so, went through a breakup, and I almost immediately got on a plane, and I was suffering, I have to say, for only about a week or two. Everybody, I practice what I preach. I bounce back quickly, but that trip made a big difference.
I think every time I do go through a breakup, I end up going on a like solo trip, like whether it's a month or a month or two later, because I'll be like, I need this. Like I know it helps me. It's almost it's kind of part of my healing process nowadays. So
treat yourself like a VIP after a breakup, because ain't no one gonna do it for you.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
This podcast is meant to be fun, edgy, and informative. So let's give some stats. So, according to the Solo Traveler 2023 Reader Survey, why and how people travel solo. The top 3 reasons were: I want to see the world and I don't want to wait for others. I want to do what I want to do and when. Seriously, everybody, if you've never taken a solo trip and you don't know the joy of that, you will quickly come to. I like the feeling of freedom and independence. And fourth, which I said this is not my motivation, I want to meet new people. So what is your motivation for solo travel, everybody? Let us know. Kelly, what has been your favorite solo trip?
I would say I think I have 2. Obviously, the first one I did when I was going through, like, about to get divorced is, I think it was a very transformative and very important trip. So, like, that is my favorite in a sense because it's what sparked my passion for it. I went on a cross-country road trip in the summer of 2021.
Oh, yeah. Fuck yes. Oh. I think I remember this.
Yeah.
Have I known you that long? Maybe.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think we met right around that that time,
awesome.
or like we had started communicating around that time. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I basically, my brother was getting married across the country, and I was gonna fly, and I went through a breakup, and I was like, you know what? I think I'm gonna drive across the country instead. And I kind of just picked out like general areas of like where I might want to stop like for the night, and I literally planned it like day by day. I just like got on the road, and I was like, first stop is Winslow, Arizona. Next stop is.
I remember that you went to Bisbee. And that's one of the places that I've traveled by myself. And I remember seeing the photos of that. And that was cool.
Yeah.
And again, something not everyone might want to do. Oh, yeah. Everybody, Bisbee, Arizona. Yes.
It's a cute town.
This, and again, going back to why I'm so passionate about it today, I actually have gone cross country. And it was when I was married. We were actually moving from Arizona to New York, and I was so stoked to be going on a cross-country trip, having always wanted to travel. I mean, I was so revved up. I think that we had different ideas of what it means to go cross-country because I wanted to stop along the way. I could have sworn that I had communicated that. I wanted to spontaneously see things and stop, and my God, he did not. It was so disappointing. Like just little things that I'd want to do. He not only didn't want to do it, he was just very adamant about not doing it. I did not at all think that we were really holding tight to any schedule to get to New York. Mm-hmm. He did. I don't know how the communication got so fucked up because we were on opposite ends of our intention and expectation for the experience. And so I'd actually say that going again is a bit on my bucket list as far as cross country goes. My favorite trip, I love going to Tombstone, but the trip that does stand out in my mind is the Hobart, Tasmania trip, because it set the stage for really what my lifestyle still
Absolutely.
is
Yeah.
today. Mm-hmm. Kelly, where can my listeners go and hang out with you and see more about your cool trip?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is KELLYANNEXPLORES. And I post about solo travel adventures, outdoor adventures. I try, to throw in information and just post about how you can grow as a person through solo travel, other resources that might help you. I love my community on there. I love the people, my internet friends, Janice, and everyone else I've met through the solo travel community on Instagram.
I like to hang out with people on Instagram as well. So everyone come over, follow us both, DM us both, and of course, go to the show notes for all the links. We're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to talk about how to get this started. If perhaps you're not ready to go to Europe on your own, perhaps you're not ready to go away for a week on your own, perhaps you've never gone out to eat on your own, and this just seems so far out there. We're also going to talk about some safety tips, our dream trips. Okay, some safety tips and our dream trips. See you soon. A lot of you know that I am a breakup coach, but did you also know that I work one-on-one with singles to maximize their solo chapter of life? My program, Single and Secure, offers customized packages that include things like becoming securely attached, visualization and manifestation for the future, learning to embrace and love your single life, getting ready to date again, self-pleasure, preparing for your next relationship. Let's have a chat to talk about how Single and Secure can add fun and power to your life. Schedule your free intro call using the link at the top of my show notes. Welcome back, everyone. What do you do if solo travel feels so outside your comfort zone? I have a very close friend, and I don't think at all that she will mind me mentioning that she's actually a little older than me and still hasn't gone on a trip. We talk about this all the time, that, it still feels kind of uneasy for her. So where do you start? I say start small. Kelly, do you have a tip for people who are so fresh to this or think like no way?
Yeah, I think the best way to start and get your foot into it is going out to lunch by yourself, going out to dinner, do something for an hour or two or something, by yourself in your community. Bring a book.
You bring up a great point and one of my tips, and that is if you feel that I say go to a bar. It's not because, well, I was going to say it's not because I'm a lush, but who knows? That's up for debate. I think a bar is a great way to start because I promise you go to the bar top, you'll have conversation with the bartender, obviously. And I absolutely assure you, there are other people alone. You will be surprised. And going back to what you were saying about a book, if you really feel that uncomfortable going to a food and beverage establishment, bring a book so that you'll feel like you have something to do. And you know what? Look on your phone. Start scrolling. If you don't want to, quote, just sit there, use it as a comfort blanket.
Yeah, sure.
Blanket. Why not?
Yeah, I think you start doing that and then you'll start feeling more comfortable. You might not need that anymore, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Once you start feeling more comfortable with that, and maybe do a day trip somewhere to your nearby town that you've wanted to visit, or go to an event at a nearby town. I don't know, whatever.
Go to a what?
Like an event, like like up here we have we have like a lavender festival, or a wooden boat festival, or
I like that.
they have we have all kinds of quirky things up here in the Pacific Northwest. Go for the day. Start doing that more often, and then maybe you'll be ready for a weekend trip, and then maybe you'll be ready to hop on a plane.
Yes, book that
wherever you want to go.
Yes.
I think just start small. Try a concert by yourself, maybe.
Yeah, admittedly, that's not something I think to do on my own. So I appreciate that you're saying that. And similarly, movies, for the longest time, it was something that I thought, if there's one thing I wouldn't do on my own, it's go to a movie. Mm-hmm. Then one night, my flatmate brought home possibly the most annoying person I've ever met in my life. I was really on edge. I was going through a lot. They put on such loud music. And I'm sitting in my room just almost about to cry because I'm just thinking this is the last thing I really need tonight. Mm-hmm. The Dutch Girl was in theaters, and I was really, really wanting to see that movie. And I just thought, fuck it, just go and see The Dutch Girl. It's 2 blocks away from the apartment. And I went, and it was so relaxing. It was fine. I really, really enjoyed it.
Oh yeah. I like going to movies by myself too. I think what's comfortable about that, at least for me, is you're going, you just go walk into the theater, and then you just find a seat wherever, and it goes dark, and you're supposed to be quiet. You're supposed to not talk. You're supposed
and I have to say, when I go with friends, I am that person in the theater who everyone's annoyed with because I want to talk about it the whole time. I've had people get so mad at me. Something that my clients, one of my clients did a little while ago was, this is part of my coaching program for people going through breakups is, what can you learn to do on your own, and something that you can use to treat yourself as a VIP. She took herself to a high tea. That is such a great example of something that you might not think to do on your own, and also that not everyone is going to want to do. And she had an absolutely beautiful time. And another little idea for people. We said a weekend trip. I want to let everybody know there is something within driving distance of where everybody lives that you can go and check out, whether or not you have a car. Mm-hmm. One more tip for anybody who's not used to traveling solo. Go and visit a friend out of town. So then you are going and doing something on your own. You are going to be planning it solo, but then it will make it a little more comfortable once you're there. Even if you go and spend a lot of time on your own, you'll have somewhere to land with someone you know. And it just generally is less intimidating. Kelly, do you have any tips or a method for planning a trip? If someone's never done this before, it could seem a little overwhelming, I would imagine.
I like to kind of look at a map and see where I haven't been or I might want to go. Depends on the time of year. I might not want to go somewhere super snowy and cold, like in December, but some people might.
This is true.
Some people like that.
For different
I might pick a couple cities, towns that seem interesting to me, and then I might, I'll usually go on social media and visit the visitors bureau page or a popular influencer that I might follow who's a travel influencer. Might see what they've done. Check out TripAdvisor, things to do, blogs. Blogs are always great. That's kind of where I narrow it down to where I want to go. And then once I've picked a place, I think I just keep diving deep into.
You can dive,
dive, whatever. I just go deeper into, finding things that are going on, if there's any fun events. I love looking at the calendars on their the visitor bureau pages and seeing what cool festival might be going on. Like I went to like I said, I went to Arizona, right? Back in February. It wasn't intentional, but it ended up being around the same time as spring training. And granted, this was not a
The
solo trip, but
Cubs.
so there was like the Mariners, the Cubs, the San Francisco Giants, and some other teams. And I grew up in San Francisco, so I had always wanted to go to spring training. And so it wasn't necessarily the week with the games, but they were starting their practices. So it was just, you look online and you're like, oh, the Giants are going to be in town. Like we can go watch them practice. Like that's so cool. We didn't intentionally plan that, but we found something really fun to do. And
case in point, as far as doing what you want, I would never do that. That is not of interest to me whatsoever.
Yeah, I know.
Cool. Thank you. And I just want to say again, going back to this concept of doing whatever you want, Kelly's approach to solo travel is completely different from mine. I get a ticket and I go and I pretty much never make plans. I just walk around and, maybe once I get there, I might see what's going on, but not really. I don't just wander. So you can do it however you want.
I've had trips like that too, where I kind of like to have a little bit of an outline, but it's not all set, like, oh, I'm doing this at this time or I'm doing that. Like I like to give myself those times to just kind of wander as well.
But however, also, some other people love having a schedule, which I've learned from traveling with friends.
Yes, I'm in the middle, I like a little structure, but a little, spontaneity as well. So
I'll definitely say I'm not the type to sleep in when I'm traveling at all. And I did find that a little challenging when I've traveled with friends.
Yeah, exactly. We're here. Yeah. Let's go.
In fact, I went to Costa Rica with someone, probably about a year ago. I was super stoked. I just could not believe how much he wanted to sleep. It was, I found it really challenging. I mean, no criticism of him. It was just different approaches. Let's talk about just general, like practical tips, perhaps safety, perhaps not. I will start with some of mine. I went to New Zealand a year and a half ago on my own, but to visit a friend, so a combo. And I found when I was there, something that I really regretted was that I hadn't found out what it would take to change my SIM card. No, I've traveled, solo traveled all around the world and not found this as an issue. And so when I went to do that, I found that like my phone was locked. I hadn't had it for very long. And so I couldn't even change my SIM card. You have got to have a functional GPS when you are traveling in a new place. And so it was really challenging. It actually had a big impact on my trip. My friend was able to give me a phone that she wasn't using, and I could kind of use that to get around. I was driving all over the place. But before you travel, look into that.
Yes, contact your wireless provider and see what you need to do.
The side note, they ended up fucking things up so much when I asked to unlock my phone that on 30 days later, to the day that I'd asked to unlock my phone, they had a system error. And I ended up losing my phone number, and they reassigned me a new phone number. It was so weird and fucked up.
I'd be so mad.
I was not a happy camper. So yes, GPS, look into your phone card. And I know that this might sound stupid and piss a lot of people off, but when I was in Europe, I found that my translation app came in handy. So just
same. I swear, like every year there's a new like cool update with like those translator apps. You can take pictures of things. It'll translate it into the language you want. There's and I'm talking about like Google Translate, but there are other apps out there too.
I might suggest finding where the locals hang out. That can be kind of tricky, but if you can somehow identify these places, it can really add some interesting flavor to your trip.
I agree. When I was in Rome, I took a food tour and we would like walked around this old neighborhood called Trastevere. And my tour guide, suggested, oh, like on Saturday nights, there's this place called Testaccio Market. And I think it'd be a fun place for you, like visitors to check out because it's like the locals, Locals they play music, they dance, there's food. So I was like, okay, I'm going to do that. And like, I hopped on the metro that Saturday night and I went there and it was just this big Italian party. Everyone was speaking Italian. Like, I'm pretty sure I was the only American like there. I'm just
Good for you.
I'm eating my like, Italian, I think it was supli. It's like arancini, but like fried risotto ball and like in the corner and like watching all these people. And I'm like, oh my God, this is so fun. Like it's this big Italian party. And like,
Wow.
And they, they were welcoming and everyone was nice. And
yeah, what an experience.
Oh, I don't think I would have known about it had I, this local hadn't told me about it. So it was very fun.
I mean, your experience is so much more sophisticated and fancy than what I was going to say, which is I happen to know where the locals in Tombstone hang out. And trust me, it is. They don't want tourists in there. It's cash only. But I now go there. People recognize me. And it's just, it's called, wait, you know what? I'm not going to say what it's called. Because like I said, they want a place where, they can just go and know everybody and have a neighborhood bar. So Tombstone people, I love you. And your secret is safe with me.
Even when I went to Ireland, we went to, I went to Dublin and Dublin, I asked the person in my hostel, I was like, where do the locals like hang out? We want to see, I wanted to see traditional Irish music, like pub kind of atmosphere, because Dublin has a popular bar scene called Temple Bar, and that's where like all the tourists go. And I'm like, I did that, but I wanted to see something a little bit different, and they gave me a good recommendation of a local pub down the road, and it was great. It was all the locals and everyone was enjoying their pints of beer and Guinness and listening to some traditional Irish music. And I was like, yeah, this is more my scene. This is more like, I like it. I dig it.
Another tip just for, I don't know, just generally making it more fun. Start a collection, I think, of things that you're going to look for and source and bring home with you as you travel. I do a old lady thing, which is collect souvenir plates. And again, I do not mean to harp on this, but my husband teased me relentlessly about that because he thought it was such an old lady thing. I had collected a lot at one point and started getting to the point where I wanted to put them on my wall. Both of my grandmas were big travelers, and I just remember growing up just thinking how cool that was. And he refused. And again, just, you get to do whatever you want when you travel, even collect old lady things.
Absolutely. Yeah. Everyone has their own thing. My thing is I collect magnets. My fridge is covered in all the places I've been. Yeah. And people walk in and they're like, whoa. And I'm like, yep, I'm running out of room. I'm going to have to start like a magnetic wall or something.
Yes, girl. Yes.
Yeah.
People also will come over here and just stand in front of it.
Yeah.
Looking.
It's fun.
Well, this has been wonderful. Let's end on an inspirational note. Okay, you know what? I want to talk about our dream trips, and I want Kelly to be the one who wraps up the episode. So I will say, my dream solo trip is going to Mexico City for Day of the Dead. Despite growing up in Arizona, I somehow never been to Mexico, despite being a Frida Kahlo expert, academic, if you will, and loving pretty much everything Mexican. I've never been. I would like to go, maybe not even Mexico City, but perhaps one of the suburbs or a smaller area and fully experience that. What about you?
That sounds fun.
I know it is happening. I can assure you. What's your dream trip or dream solo trip?
My dream trip, whether it be with somebody or solo, would probably be Greece. I have always been fascinated with Greece.
Cool.
the whole Mediterranean lifestyle kind of appeals to me. And I would like to go on probably a cruise, like a cruise, just because I want to hit up a bunch of islands, and they're not always the closest,
Cruises have been getting a bad rap recently, perhaps for obvious reasons, but I think that they're very underrated. I've been on one. I loved it. It's so luxurious and relaxing. You don't have to plan anything out. You can just be a total hedonist the entire time. So
Yes.
I encourage people, if there's somewhere like this that you'd enjoy going, try it.
Yeah, I've never been on a cruise, but my mom went to Greece before I was born, and she did a Mediterranean cruise. And she's like, I think that's the way to go, Kelly, because you can hit up all the islands, go to Santorini and Crete and Mykonos, Athens.
I've always wanted to go to Cyprus for some reason.
Yeah,
I wonder if that's
nearby. Could be. Who knows? I just need to accumulate enough leave at work so I can take I'd like to take a couple weeks.
Well, you
maybe
deserve it.
Yeah, thank you. I think I do too.
I have a feeling for some reason, just sitting here listening to my intuition, that 2025 is going to be a great year for both of us.
I hope so.
Kelly, thank you for being a great example to women and solo travelers. I'm so glad to know you. Denver is a great place to visit, as is Seattle. So as I was saying, maybe we'll make that happen next year. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. This has been a blast.
Thank you so much.
Revved up and ready to go with the rest of my day, with the rest of my life.
I know. I feel like I have a new energy flowing through me right now.
Yeah, same. Not just, that's the extrovert's curse. Even having a Zoom call can get you hyper as can be.
Yep.
Yes, I do feel very inspired. Thank you so much. Everybody come over and follow both of us on Instagram. If anyone wants to speak with me about my Single and Secure program, let me know. If anybody out there is struggling with a breakup and wants to chat about support, please let me know. Thank you to everybody who has come over and joined Sex and the Solo Girl. I am just in love with my podcast. It's my new little baby. If you have enjoyed it, please let me know on Apple Podcasts. I love interacting with people over there. If you haven't enjoyed it, keep it to yourself. Thank you, Kelly. See everyone next week.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to Sex and the Solo Girl with Janice Formichella, the podcast for those who want to add more flavor to their relationships with themselves and others. If you liked today's episode, make sure to head over to Instagram and let her know. See you next week.